receivers all sort of complement each other with what they do.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that's just the way it goes. You know, I got a lot of respect for Boyd in the slot. He's done it a long time. He's a strong player. He's a veteran player, and then Higgins and Chase. I mean, those guys are tough outs on the outside part of the field, but sort of different things. They can both go up and get the ball. They can both body you. They can both run after the catch, and I think that when it's all said and done, that's going to be one of the keys to this game is how well we do with run after the catch with their receivers. Everybody wants to think it's all plays down the field, but 5-yard completions that they run for 25, can be just as damaging to a defense.
How much does it help you this week specifically? We have all those different body types in that cornerback and safety room.
Yeah, I mean we're built that way for sure. With guys in our division and teams in our division. Andrew and Kevin and. Everybody has done a really good job of making sure we match up well versus our opponents.
The Browns are 4-1 against Burrow, and Burrow has attributed that to Myles Garrett just wrecking each game. So they added Orlando Brown. You added Zadarius Smith. How do you think the dynamic works out up front?
Well, we added Obo also and Dalvin. So let's not overlook those guys too. It's going to be a team game. It's never a one-on-one game. Obviously, guys like Joe Burrow are great individual players. Guys like Myles are great individual players, but nobody stands alone. They're all dependent on everybody else, and part of Myles' ability to succeed is going to depend on our corners' ability to cover. We talked about those receivers, and if they're getting open quickly, and Burrow's throwing the ball quickly, that can negate your pass rush. So it's a combination of all those things. Like I said, no player stands alone. We got to have a good team effort, but we need our good individual players to play good also. It's a big game. Openers are always big game, and we got to come ready on Sunday.
Last time we talked, you said you didn't think that your defense was quite ready yet. It's not supposed to be in the middle of camp. But how
it's been that long, huh?
But
Keeping a low profile.
How far has your unit come since then, and how good do you feel about how closely they've come together?
There's always uncertainty with an opener. There's so many things that'll come up. I mean, and a lot of times, the opener, a lot of well-laid plans can go awry. Somebody goes down with cramps, or something happens, or the opponent comes out featuring something that they had never shown before. So it's all part and parcel. Physically, I think we're ready. And I think that we made some progress in camp and in preseason games, but there's nothing going against a team that's that's at the top of your division, that's scheming to beat you, and and the games count. The games mean something. So we'll be up for the challenge, but it is going to be a great challenge, and we're going to need our home field. We were practicing today with the crowd noise, and that's going to make it hard on Cincy. It can be challenging for us with communication, but that's a small price to pay to affecting the opponent. And we come out with a win. Our fans will have a lot to do with that. They know what time it is too. Our fans know it's not preseason anymore. They'll be there for us.
When you told us about your defense early, you mentioned that it's about guys playing off each other, not just worrying about their own responsibility. So my question is, does that leave your defense vulnerable at all when they're not just worried about their own responsibility?
Oh, no, they all have responsibilities within, but, it's probably a little bit, Jeff, like an offensive line, right? I mean, it's about the operation of the group and knowing how the guys play next to you. I probably mean a little bit more like that. It's not. It's basketball. A lot of times, I don't know a lot about basketball, and it sort of blows my mind. But when they run the triangle, I can't understand it. And it looks like a mess out there. But they know what spots they got to get to, and they know if this happens, then this happens, and this is how you play off that. I think I'd probably put our guys a little bit more of that. It's within the scheme. it's not just 11 guys doing their own thing. It's within the scheme. But, you know, when you're rushing the passer, you gotta play off the guy next to you a lot of times because he might get the center slide and he's wide, and now you got to make him right. It's the same thing with a linebacker. You know, if I got the B gap, but you know, Miles sees an opening and he takes the B gap, I got to be able to replace him to the next gap. So I'd probably put it a little bit more into that, as you know, you're collaborating as opposed to just, you know, doing your own thing. We're not doing our own thing. It's well organized, but we also give the players freedom to be able to free up and make plays. We don't want robots out there.
About the unknowns of the opener, do you feel like there's an element of surprise with you? I know you've been in the league a long time, but first game with this unit against a familiar opponent?
Yeah, I don't know. You know, they'll have new stuff. We'll have new stuff. You know, when it's all said and done, it's, you know, who puts their players in the best position, who executes the best. You know, I think that's who makes the plays when they come to them. That it'll come down to that, as opposed to us coming out with some new wrinkle or them coming out with a new wrinkle. It does add something to it, and obviously it's important. The game, I'd say, probably sideline adjustments are more important in openers in games like this than they are a lot of the rest of the game, because it's like, okay, this was verified from film, or hey, this is something, you know, this is something new. You know, everybody always talks about halftime adjustments, but you guys know there's no such thing as halftime adjustments. Adjustments are made after every series, and sometimes within series, you're adjusting as it goes.
Who is your fourth cornerback right now after the acquisition of the new guy and A.J. Green?
Yeah, you know, I don't really want to talk about depth chart, because I stress to the players that, you know, depth chart is just for guys in the media and things like that. You know, you guys will figure it out after a while. I don't want to preempt everybody. If Kev wants to talk about depth chart, you know, we'll leave it to the head coach there.
Taki and AWOC coming off those injuries, are they 100% ready to go with a full workload, or are you going to have to kind of rotate that for them?
You know, I don't want to speak on injuries. They didn't play in the preseason. You know, I think that's probably more of, I don't want to say concern, but that's where they are right now, as opposed to, like, I don't see those guys as injured. I just see them as players. They just haven't played in the preseason yet. So, you know, we'll manage a lot of things as the game goes on. You know, we'll adjust to a lot of things depending on how many reps we play, how the game's going. There could be a lot of different ways we go with substitutions and play time and things like that. But, you know, we'll just manage it forever. Like, when it comes time to game time, there's no such thing as injured players, right? There's nobody that's out there like, you know, hey, that guy's, you know, got a sore hamstring, or that guy's got a sore shoulder. You know, they're still going to run to you the same way, and they're still going to try to run past you the same way. So we'll get the guys out there that can do their job and be ready to go.
How fast this defensive line is during the preseason, and that was without Miles. Now adding Miles into the equation, do you feel like this could be the best defensive line that you ever coached?
I don't know. That standard's pretty high. I mean, this group, there's a lot of things I like about this group. You know, I've been very fortunate in my career to be around some great defensive lines, and you know, we've tried to put them in really good positions to let them use their skills and things like that. It's a very D-line friendly scheme. But yeah, let's leave comparisons until the end of the year. We haven't played a game yet, so let's you know, let's not put anybody in the Hall of Fame just yet. Bill Parcells, I got to acknowledge that. That's stolen from Bill Parcells. That's one of his famous ones.
We've talked a lot about your defense against the pass, but how have you seen the run defense evolve and improve as preseason's come on?
Yeah, you know, I mean, again, you know, things in preseason are pretty vanilla. You know, it's really hard to say. You know, and how well we do on Sunday and throughout 17 games this year, and hopefully more than 17 games. You know, it'll be with, you know, how we progress through the season, how we develop into the schemes we're playing, how we, you know, you know, I think I've said this before. A lot of coaches say good teams improve over the course of a season. I think that good teams find out who they are over the course of the season, and what they do is they trend to, you know, funnel into a personality as a season. You know what that personality is going to be right now, I don't know. I have an idea, but I don't know for sure. My job as a play caller, my job as a coordinator is to very quickly find out what our guys are good at and to try to put them in those positions. And, you know, that's where I think teams improve over the course of the season. They find their personality. They find what they're good at. Maybe it's not what I'm expecting. Maybe it is, you know, maybe there's injuries and it's a plan B, but, you know, that's our job is to find our personality, find our stride, find out what fits us the best, what we're good at, and to accentuate that. I've never been around a good team or a good defense that didn't have a personality. And I'm not just talking about their play style. I'm talking about like what they did well. And you can go back and look, you know, 85 Bears, it was blitz in every play. And, you know, Tampa with Warren Sapp and Rondé Barber and, you know, all the Derek Brooks and all they played Tampa too every snap. I mean, they were so good at it, they named it after them, you know, and that's all they did. You know, Seattle was a top defense in the league for a few years. All they did was play single high and challenge guys. And, you know, back in the mid 2000s, Miami was a tough out on defense. Pat Surtain, Sam Madison, they had good pass rushers. You know, they were really good. They played the same defense damn near every snap. And what all those teams did is they found out what they were good at, and they executed that very, very well. They had wrinkles. They had different things here and there. But I think that's probably our biggest challenge is as we go is finding out who we are and, you know, and to accentuate that. So that's probably the biggest thing we got. You know, you're always going to be alert, or you're always going to be an eye toward an opponent, right? And you're going to adjust your things to an opponent. But, you know, if you're a great offense or a great defense, you do what you do, right? And you take the approach of, you know, look, they got to deal with us. So we're not, you know, I don't know if we're there yet, honestly. You know, this is going to be the first game, but my job is to get us there.
Does Ward get through the two practices? Ward get through it?
Yeah, I don't talk about injuries. We'll let Kev talk about those if he wants to.
Personality, I heard you really getting after them one day at Greenbrier.
That's surprising.
How do you feel like your group has taken to your coaching style?
Yeah, you know, I'm not everybody's cup of tea, but it's all business, you know, and I hope that I'm the guy that's cheering as much as I am, you know, bringing some fire. You know, it's an urgent business. We have to be ready to go, but, you know, I would hope that you would see, you know, me congratulating guys after a play. You know, that was one that just, you know, comes to mind. That rookie Watkins made a great catch against us, you know, and it had to be recognized. He was against our defense, and, you know, we lost a snap and everything else, but I had to go high five him. It was great. And, you know, when you keep it business and you keep it enthusiastic and stuff like that, you know, I'm not just out there, you know, ragging on people, being a jerk for no reason. It's performance-based business. If they're not performing up to par, I'm not going to sit around and not say anything. I mean, my job is to make sure it's right. And, you know, sometimes ruffled feathers, you know, can help a guy perform, you know. So, you know, if you're thin-skinned, defense in the NFL is not the business for you. You know, you got to go find something else to do if you're thin-skinned. This is a tough business.
In just the preseason games, the statistics, 15% third down percent.
They keep stats on preseason games? What? Yeah.
15 is a ridiculous
Yeah, that's
low
crazy.
number.
That's crazy. That's
what,
it.
what do you consider good third down?
I've had some defenses. I think going back, 2002, maybe 3 in Tennessee. We were in the 20s. At the time, it was like the lowest for a long time. New England a couple years ago tried to set a record. I mean, they were incredible. You know, let me put it this way. What we're going to try to do is to keep our third down percentage good enough that we win the game. And we'll keep our eye on that stuff, you know, and here's the thing. If we come at it again, we talked about our D-line, we talk about our corners and things. So if we come out of the game with no sacks, but the ball's got to come out so quick and they can't make any yards passing and we win the game, Roger, check, love it, right? If we come out of the game with no interceptions, but the quarterback's getting sacked because he's, you know, got nobody to throw to, man, we'll take that. You know, this is the ultimate team sport, and we want to celebrate guys' ability to make plays, and we want all our players to have individual success. But the bottom line is team success. And whether we win 3-0 or we win 43-42, we'll take it. You know, I might not sleep as good after the 43-42, but you know, this is a bottom line business, and we're going to try to do whatever we can to win the game. Now, to your question, third down is very important to us. Right. Red zone, very important to us. Takeaways. You know, you'll hear me say the stats that mean the most to me are points allowed and takeaways, because our job, keep the points down and give the ball back to the offense. And the way you keep points down is you stop drives. And one of the ways you stop drives is on third down. So, you know, those kind of things. Red zone takes points off the board. You get a red zone stop. You know, potentially taking 4 points off the board, maybe 7. You turn the ball over. You not only do you get the ball back, but generally you put your offense in good position, or you score yourself on defense. You saw that from our guys this year. When it's all said and done, our job is to limit points, and our job is to get the ball back. Anything else is good for, you know, for you guys to write about. It's good for, you know, fans to talk about. But our job, we're going to keep our eye on trying to win the game and trying to keep points down and trying to put our offense in good position. Okay, thanks, guys. Yeah, and next week, just get with Dan if you want to.